Hi, my name is Mike. I'm going to be teaching you how to pick a Maryland blue crab today. When you're picking Maryland crabs, what you want to first do is select the best crab in the pile. The best way to do this is to look for the crab with the darkest shell. A dark shell indicates that the crab has had its shell for a longer period of time and will therefore contain more meat per shell. The best way to do this is to look on the very underside, right at the tip of the apron, and what you can see is two dark spots. This indicates the crab's had its shell for quite a while, and you'll be rewarded with a full crab. What you're also going to need is the proper armamentarium. When I'm picking, I like to use a traditional crab picking knife, but you can also use your standard kitchen knife to do this. Several different styles of knives exist, one of which is this short-handled, heavy, dull knife. It has a short blade to assist in maneuverability of the knife when picking. The handle itself is rather heavy and can also be used to crack crab claws with the back end of it. Although good, I prefer your more traditional crab picking knife that a crab picker in a picking house might use. This knife has a slightly curved blade to it, and the inner portion of the curve is fairly sharp. And I'll show you why that's important later. I also like to use a pair of kitchen shears. When picking a large quantity of crabs, sometimes this makes getting the knuckles off of the crab a little bit easier. There's also your crab mallet. Now, your crab mallet should never strike the crab. The only reason you should have a crab mallet is to assist in getting the knife into a crab claw. And we'll show you the proper technique for getting into a crab claw in just a minute. So when opening a crab, what you want to first do is locate the apron. If it's a male crab, the apron will look like the Washington Monument, be rather pointed. What you're going to do is you're going to gently lift the apron up and fold it backward. That will open up a cavity in the back that you can then insert the knife into, and with gentle pressure backward and lifting up on the swim fin, you can remove the top of the crab. Set this aside. What you now have is the crab. You have the mouth parts, the inner part of the crab. You also have these lungs. The lungs are inedible and they need to be discarded, as well as the mouth parts and the inner part of the crab. What you can do is you can take the knife and just scoop that out and cut off the mouth parts. To get rid of the lungs, I like to take the knife and gently sweep downward and take the lungs off. What you now have is a cleaned body cavity. It's devoid of any of the lungs, mouth parts, and any of the innards of the crab. What I now suggest doing is taking off these small leg segments so you can better access the meat. To do that, that's where the curve of the knife comes in. You can do this either by pushing downward with this nut type of knife and breaking off these leg segments, being careful to capture any little bits of meat that come with it, or you can take the inner curve of the knife, place it on the crab, and with a gentle twist of the wrist, you just remove these segments. What you now have is the legs removed with the knuckle portion also removed, and at this point just show. What I like to do then is with gentle pressure with your thumbs, push downward on the top to break the cartilage, and what you'll see here is a thin black line, and this is on almost every crab, right here and right here. This denotes where the lump portion of the meat is contained. So by taking your knife and slicing down that line and forward, you then remove the top portion of the cartilage and access the chambers of the meat. What you can then do is take your knife, peel back that upper portion, and you can remove the entire lump of crab meat. That's good eating. You then can access each individual chamber. Wherever each leg was contains meat. So you simply enter the chamber, twist slightly, and remove the leg meat from that portion of the crab. Sometimes it disconnects. So remove each lump of crab meat in succession. Again, we remove that top portion. You can either cut it or simply remove it by hand. Save that. That still has valuable meat. And again, this is the lump portion. You can just lift that out and you're left with a nice lump section of meat. Again, you want to enter each cavity and gently lift upward and remove the meat from that chamber. What you should be left with is a cartilage shell that's completely devoid of any meat. Now the top portion, there's always a small bit of meat on the top part, and then on one side there's another portion. And what I like to do, the easiest way to extract the remaining meat from the section, to simply give it a little squeeze with your thumb and forefinger. That gently extracts the remaining meat, and it's easy to access. As far as claws, each claw has a dark side and a light side. What you want to do is place the claw dark side down and then place the knife about 1 centimeter up from where the hinge joint is. So by placing the knife there, giving a gentle tap with the heel of your hand so that you enter about 1/3 of the way down the knuckle, and just give a twist. This will crack it the remainder of the way through, and you can simply pull out the entire lollipop of meat. The other side, very similar. You go about 1 centimeter, half centimeter up from the joint. Again, a gentle tap, twist, and you can remove that section of meat. So if we're going in real time, what you would suggest, again, lifting the apron, removing the shell, then removing the mouth parts, remove the lungs, also clean the middle. You then take the knife, remove the knuckles from each side. Push downward gently. Remove the top portion. You're now left with the open chambers of meat. Enter the back fin. Gently pull that back fin out, and then enter each chamber. Sometimes there will be a little bit of cartilage on the top part of this chamber, which will make it difficult to access. All you have to do is simply take your knife and gently remove just a little bit of that cartilage, and it'll open those chambers up completely for you to make it much easier to remove all of the crab meat. Again, you enter in, give a little twist, lift out your lump, then enter each chamber with the tip of the knife, twisting gently and lifting upward, and that will remove the meat from the shell. When you're done, the shell should be completely cleaned, and you should have a pile of crab meat.